myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, I will be explaining the utility and the uses of Bullpower Indicator on the Visual JForex platform. We will see how we can utilize this momentum indicator to build automated algorithmic setups on the platform developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. We have been seeing these various indicators, and so far we have finished working with the Bill Williams moving average indicators, mathematical indicators, and now it's the turn of momentum indicators. So far we have seen these 7 momentum indicators. Now we are moving on to the bull power indicator. Here we don't really have the description. We will see its functioning and the parameters which we need to define on the Visual JForex platform itself. So here we move on to bring this indicator to life, and here it is, bull P. We have already seen the bear power indicator couple of sessions back, and this is an inverted version of the bear power. Here we are concerned with the bull power, how far the bulls are willing to take the price action away from its average price, and that's how the bull power gets defined. We have to use the moving average. Mostly EMA is used of 13 time period. This is the default value, and comparing it to its last closing price or last tick price, we get the difference, and that is the bull power. And the farther it is from the average price, stronger the bull power is considered on the upper side. So we will add this indicator on the chart to see how and in what manner we can define this indicator to build profitable algorithmic setups. Here it comes, bull power. Now we have to use the indicator in conjunction with mostly the EMAs. We can use this indicator to define the entry and exit points, and it gives an idea of the trend, the direction of the trend as well. But if we are using a multi-indicator setup, the chances, the probability of making and finding profitable trades increases. So here I will explain to you its underlying logic as per its developer. When the price action, when the last candle closing price moves away from the average price, here we are talking about the 13 time period EMA. So the farther the last hour's closing price was from the 13 period EMA, the greater is the bull power. And what mostly traders do, they see when the indicator jumps from being in least bull power, that is the value was actually in the negative below zero, and then the new momentum came in, fresh momentum came in, and we saw renewed buying momentum, and as a result of that the bull power is rising. So at such times the probability of initiation of a fresh trend is high, and that's why most of the traders prefer to get involved when there is a momentum change from being sideways to bearish to now on the ascendance, the bulls are rising. And at such times, if we can initiate the trade, as and when it happens, the probability, as I said, is going to be a lot higher. So we can use this indicator for defining the entry point, but then the question is whether the underlying instrument is in bullish phase or bearish phase. And to define that, we mostly rely on other indicators, and the EMA can be of fairly good use if we use standalone moving average of any time, SMA, T3, or other moving averages, or even EMA. We can do the comparison. If the moving average are rising, then we can consider the underlying trend to be bullish, and then as and when we see fresh momentum coming in after sideways price action in the underlying instrument, we can initiate the trade. So in that manner, this indicator can be utilized to figure out what is the opportune what is the optimum level to get involved and when that is likely to be more profitable. So here we can use these indicators in that manner also, and also we can use these indicators to continue to remain in trade whenever the bull power is on the rise, and as soon as the bull power starts to decline, we can say that the momentum is waning, and it's the time to get cautious, and maybe if we have decent enough profit, we can even think about exiting the position, or if we uh, don't really want to get involved for fresh trades, then we can simply sit on the sidelines when we see the bull power is declining. So that way, we can figure out what is the current situation in any of these underlying instrument, and depending on the price action, we will get this output value for bull power. Then we can utilize these output values for plotting the Visual JForex platform's algorithmic indicators, and there we can define the conditions, various conditions, and using that we can build on the algorithmic setup. So here is this bull power indicator. Start point can be any of the three. So we are today working with the on candle start point. Now we have to define these input parameters. We don't really have the info here. If you want to go in the details of how the bull power is calculated, you will have to do a bit of search on internet, and then you will get it. It's fairly easy, as I said, or it's only the difference between the last closing price and the EMA. Now coming to the instrument, here you have to define the instrument. If you want to build the algorithmic setup for Euro USD, you don't have to change anything. But if you want to use this setup for any other instrument, then all you have to do is pick up the other instrument, any of the instruments listed in this list, and these instruments are supported on the Visual JForex platform. So we will be able to design and develop the algorithmic setup with the help of this indicator block, and then we can deploy that indicator, deploy that setup on the JForex platform. For today's session, we are choosing to work with the Euro GBP. So here also I will change the chart to Euro GBP. So let's see where is Euro GBP. Okay, we got the Euro versus Pound, Great British Pound. So here is Euro GBP. As you can see, we saw the turnaround in the sentiment somewhere here. Here also we had this change in sentiment, then again it relapsed in the bearish phase, and again we saw the momentum picking up, and from there on it has been low looking back. But as the strength of the trend started to wane, we had this flat and then gradually these declining bars for the bullish momentum, bull power output. And as I tried to explain to you, the opportune time is mostly whenever there is change in sentiment, but we have to see whether the underlying trend is bullish or bearish, and for that we have to use other indicators also, and that way you will be able to figure out what are the trades which are likely to prove more profitable. Now let us go back on the board. So here we have to define the time period, the period on which we want to use this setup. If you want to work with the lower time frame, you have got 10 seconds. Starting from 10 seconds to 1 month, we have all these listed values which can be used as the variable for the candlestick period. Suppose if you want to use hourly, half hourly, 4 hourly, we can use any of this. For today's session, let's see how the daily time frame looks like. So all we have to do is change this to daily, and we will have this indicator plotted on the daily time frame chart. The output values here are for the daily time frame chart. We have this indicator now defined on the Euro GBP for the daily time period. Shift is the look back period. If the shift is 0, then the current value of the Bullpower indicator will be taken into consideration. If we want to go back in time, all we have to do is list by how much time period we want to go back, and if we use say for example 5, then the data prior to last 5 candlestick periods will be taken into account, and that will be used to whatever end we want to use it. If we want to design new conditions, or we simply want to do the comparison between different output values depending on the shift value, we can do that. This is the time period for the EMA. This is the default time period, but we can change it. If you want to extend it, you can do that. If you want to shorten it, you can do that. This will be the EMA time period to which the values will be compared. If we use 20, then we will have more smoother Bullpower indicator plotting. Let us see how it looks like after doing the editing. So here it is. This is the Bullpower indicator defined for 20 candlestick periods of 1 day each. Earlier, the momentum was on the bullish side, bulls were having the upper hand, and then the momentum started to wane, and we had these topsy-turvy moves in a very narrow range, and now the bulls are losing steam, and these output values have entered in the negative territory below 0. So depending on how we define these input parameters, we will get this output value, and then we can use this output value to define various if-else statements, various conditions, or even we can do the comparison between the current data and the prior data by simply changing this shift variable. For calculation purpose, we have to define the bid side or the ask side. We have to define the offer side on which we want to do the calculation. The price which will be deducted from the EMA is also needs to be defined. If we are looking at the candlestick's closing value, then it will be considered and subtracted. If we change this parameter, if we want to use high or low, we will have the different output values. Here on the chart, we don't really have that option to change it, but on the Visual JForex platform, you can change that as well. So here we are having this output value on the closing basis, but here you can do the experimentation and see what is the price which is likely to give you the best result. So that's how you are going to develop the algorithmic setup using this indicator, which might prove profitable for trading on the JForex platform. So that's it from my side for today's session. Have a fabulous day tomorrow, and of course don't forget to leave the feedback regarding how you are able to use these various indicators, and how so far you have been able to develop the automated setups using the various indicators we have considered on the Visual JForex platform. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day. Goodbye.